Hello, my name is Teresa Tree Lees. I am in Central Coast of California, San Luis Obispo, and I've created a permaculture children's garden that I call the Global Family Farm. And I am creating a place that's like the Garden of Eden that has plants from around the world so that we can restore the earth by appreciating and tolerating and acknowledging and honoring people's cultures, their food cultures, their horticulture, agriculture, their permaculture. Here is a map that I created for the project 6 years ago in 2014. Today is October 27th, 2020. Let me show you around. I have created the garden to be the four corners of the world, four directions garden. And to the east here, we are in Asia. So I have planted a food forest, food guild of trees that are indigenous to Asia, such as peaches. I have put in some cotton, which originates from India. I'm also trying to grow some peanuts. That's actually African, and that's the section behind us. A Pakistan mulberry. We've got a bamboo stage here with apricot tree. And this is our gathering area for when kids come for after-school programs and for field trips. Again, the notion is our family village. We are all part of one global family on this planet. So we are working together to create that and to showcase how we can respect the earth, right? Like permaculture, care for the earth, care for one another, and care for our abundant future. Talking about abundance, here we have an abundance of raspberries. Oh my God, they're still producing here in the fall. I'm gonna eat some right now. We have pear trees, Asian pears, a plum, some more peach trees. Hollyhock is actually from Asia as well as goji berries. And we had some summer vegetables along the lines of Thai food like basil and cilantro, a Chinese celery, and some bok choy. So now we're transitioning into fall. I'm going to pull a lot of this out and then put in some more like bok choy and pak choy, joy, the Asian greens. Something else I have in Asia is the Asian gourd, is the loofah sponge. This whole fence was filled, but then we do have a lot of pest pressure out here. The gophers, you see the ground is just gophers. They go for everything, right? That's why they call them gophers. All right, so this is the eastern quadrant. The freeway in the foreground is Highway 101. So sometimes we call this the farm along the freeway. This is called City Farm Slow, and in the 19 acres that are here, different farmers rent out different parcels. So the farmer in the front there is doing winter squashes. Okay, I'm going to walk over the little footbridge that I have built here. And we have a kitchen area that I built here, the sink and counter, and we built a cob playhouse for the kids. It has a little herb garden right outside the kitchen, and the tool shed. Everything here is salvaged wood that I found, pallets. There's a lumber yard that has a leftover pile. You can get stuff for free. And so our Africa section features a mud hut with designs that we had during workshops. People came to create their own artistic expression of what they wanted to put on the building. So it's just about 8 feet by 8 feet. And then a carpenters union came and put the roof on for us. So this is the called Playhouse for the children to, again, appreciate and respect and honor the fact of people's cultures from around the world, including their houses, and that people do live in mud houses. We have bottled windows there, kombucha bottles, and little decorative elements here, little tiles and little alcoves. This project took about a year, and we also had a GoFundMe to raise a couple $1,000 to pay the guy that came and helped us, Chad Franco. Nice guy. So here is our African section, African gourds. The bottle gourds are filling in all along this whole fence that I created, a corral for them. And some of the other crops that we have in Africa is the sorghum grain. I tried to grow millet. I tried to grow okra. I tried to grow watermelon. I tried to grow some collard greens. Again, a lot of animal pest pressure out here. And looks like a pumpkin just popped up on its own right there. And then here is a little succulent garden. So this whole garden is actually shaped like the continent of Africa, where over here would be West Africa bulging out, and then where I'm standing is the tip of South Africa, and then to the east is where we have the mud hut. Here's again is the hollyhock, where the seeds blew over from Asia and made their way over into Africa, as does some of the crops. This is a South American crop, the Canna edgeless, or Akira. It made its way over here. Here's some nice tall sorghum or broom corn. Love the look of that. And another variety of the sorghum. And some geraniums. A big peach tree that showed up on its own here. So this is the whole quadrant for Africa. And so Asia was the east. Africa we have as the south. Another interesting feature of this farm is that we're in an urban area. It's called City Farm in San Luis Obispo, and the urban encroachment, like behind us, a BMW car dealership was just built, and then behind that they just are building a hotel and some other car dealerships, and then on the other side of this property they're building a housing tract. And so this is called an ag preserve. This area is preserved over the next couple decades and hopefully century to save it as agriculture land. It was going to become more box stores, and then people and the citizens protested and actually got rid of that developer's plan to build more box stores here. So we're glad that this is preserved. Okay, so next we're going to go into the next quadrant for west. I am actually walking west towards the ocean right now. San Luis Obispo is close to the ocean, maybe about 20 miles from here. And so this is the Americas. So in the west I've dedicated the land, this quadrant, to growing corn. We had a whole patch of corn there, and beans and squash. We have an elderberry, which is native here to California. Morning glory is a flower actually from South America, as well as the amaranth. There's the edible amaranth. This is an ornamental amaranth. This is the ornamental one, and the edible amaranth. We had beans growing up on these teepees here. Trellis here was the Cherokee Trail of Tears that we grow as a seed saving project here in California to remember the Trail of Tears of the Cherokee tribe. Here is more of the canna edulis. It's this bulb that you eat. This root crop. It's a starch crop, like a potato or like the yacon. It is cooked a couple times. You kind of boil it and then also pan fry it. So I made this into like a little plaza of tomatoes and peppers and squashes and marigolds and the morning glory teepee. We had big sunflowers. And so things are winding down for this time of year. I'm going to clear out all the squash and tomato plants, and usually cover crop here in the fall with fava beans. And we sold the corn to our farm box program here at City Farm. We grow produce as a CSA and sell it once a month in a box. Let's go here through the jungle, I like to call this area. More of the canna edulis, nice big tropical plant that has the edible roots. Woo! So just went through the jungle of South America, and then we have a berry patch. We got some blackberries here. We have some strawberries, the elderberries, some grapevines, and some sage. And we have a lot of milkweed through here too for the butterflies. We have pineapple guavas, a lot of grape vines, grape arbor. In fact, I want to go back through the jungle here and show you that this grapevine makes a whole little sitting area too. Nice little cool spot to sit. So here is the Americas, representing the indigenous food crops of North America, Central America, and South America. And then a living fence. We have grapes growing along the fence. Okay, and there's the car dealership. And here's another grape arbor that was a little spot you could sit in, a little bench, and that was covered with grapes. Okay, so on this property there's myself doing this children's garden, and then behind me where the dome is, geodesic dome, is a outdoor school program, a Waldorf school. So she teaches kids outside every day, 4 days a week. And then there's a guy that had an orchard over here, and we're going to renovate that and have it be as a U-Pick community type of orchard. And then behind is other farmers with their fields. There's a gal that does the no-till with tarps and laid it down on the cover crops and taking the tarp off to plant. Then there's a guy that does zucchini, and then there's a tall tunnel, and then another field and another field. So there's about 6 different farmers out here. So we all are part of one family out here in terms of all of us farmers are from different cultures, and we all farm our different ways out here. And what's nice is we get to show all these different ways of growing. So my way is the permaculture way of growing and having a polyculture, a food forest, forest gardening, homesteading, trying to make it like, pretend this is just right outside your house, and that right outside your house will be your food. Just like people from around the world have to do. They have subsistence agriculture, subsistence farming. They have their chickens running and hogs and vegetables and trees and everything growing together. Let me show you this next section here. Okay, so now we're going towards the north, and that mountain is due north. So I laid this out in a grid as 4 directions, and the north would be Europe and the Mediterranean, and then the vegetables that are indigenous or come from Europe, artichokes, apple tree, celery, borage, broccoli, lettuce, kales, Brussels sprouts, a lot of comfrey. They call it Russian comfrey, so kind of North Europe. Pears, plums, apples, lavender plants. This is the cistus rock rose here. So everything kind of intermixed, kind of a herb garden setting right here. Lavender, calendula, and then a play structure for the kids to climb on. Apple trees, there's an olive tree in the back, and a mulberry tree there, some more apple trees along here, another herb garden, another mulberry, and another compost pile. I have a compost pile in each of the 4 quadrants of the globe, the 4 corners of the globe. Society garlic, here's pomegranates, another apple tree. So there's a lot of adventures to be had out here. I have a little passport that people can check in when they come out for activities and get stamped, or how many times they come out here. So that's a fun idea. And then that pretend like you're traveling the world, and to see how crops would appear on different continents of the world, what's indigenous to the continents. There's a bay laurel tree. And coming back, I want to show you the center. So I created a picnic area underneath the grape arbor to gather in. So this is where we can have workshops, and I had a farm girls summer camp for 5 years now, and we hope to have some more permaculture classes out here in the future. So welcome to our global family farm. To the east, where the sun rises and where inspiration is. To the south, to the southern hemisphere, the continents of Africa. To the west, to honor the indigenous Native Americans, peoples and cultures. And to the north, for Europe and the Mediterranean. Okay, so that was a little mini tour, virtual farm tour of our global family farm today in October 27th, 2020. And I hope to do more permaculture programs here in the future. And I do have a handout that lists all the indigenous crops from the 4 corners of the globe that I can make available, as well as my map. And now I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see the rest of the farm. Okay, so here's our global family farm, the food forest of food crops from around the world. And then next to us is the other part of the farm, which is our educational outdoor classroom pergola. We have a little mini greenhouse, and we have row crops. So we're doing market gardening here with the 30-inch beds and the 18-inch pathways. We just put in some raspberries down here. We got the chickens. Mr. Rooster, hello. They're eating the kale that we just stripped and put in there. We have a worm farm and a 3-bay compost system, and then also the Johnson bioreactor that makes a fungal type of compost with just carbon, and then our row crops. Here we did brassicas we have to cover because of the moths, but we also have gophers and ground squirrels that will come. We did the lower and lean tomato trellis system, some kale, this is the purple sprouting broccoli that's gonna have to overwinter before it'll sprout in the spring. Just planted some spinach and beets today, peas and onions, and this is carrots and beets, some cabbages, arugula, and some lettuces in the foreground. We just harvested this past week for our farm box. All that lettuce came out of the ground, and celery and Swiss chard, and now we have some more lettuce and Swiss chard, and some more broccoli and peppers and Brussels sprouts, and we planted some seeds of rutabaga and kohlrabi and some radishes and more beets, kale, and some more broccoli and cauliflower and fava beans. So this is the whole educational area of the farm. Some more tomatoes there, and like I said, then there's other farmers who are doing their thing out here. They're harvesting the winter squashes in that field. Just having her Waldorf school over here on this side of the fence. And we're going to start growing in that tall tunnel some hothouse tomatoes. We have flowers along the fence line here. We have our own little mini food forest right here. Pacific Beach High School comes out here 2 days a week for their classes. We also have disabled adults that come out for life skills classes. These kids have been playing in the mud because they're making a mud oven. And we have a little mini food forest here, and then another set of tree crops, food forest right here, forest number 2. And that's the back side of our outdoor education classroom with some California native plants. So welcome to our world, City Farm, San Luis Obispo, California.